Okay, we're just a little bit past 7 o'clock here, so we'd like to get started. If everyone could take their seats. If everyone could take their seats, we're about to get started. The time is now 7:02, and I'd like to call this meeting to order for the Litchfield January 12th, 2023 budget hearing. To start, I'd like to ask you to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you and welcome. This evening, I'm going to be presenting the town and school warrant articles that have a tax impact and that the Budget Committee will have voted on and had an impact to. There are more articles than just what will be presented here, but they do not have a tax impact, and therefore they will be presented at deliberative. So there may be a few articles that seem like they're missing from this presentation. To start, my name is Kate Stevens. I'm the Vice Chair of the Budget Committee. Our Chair, John David Sun, is absent this evening. We also have Scott Taylor, William Hayes, Carrie Douglas, Derek Barca, Brian Bork, and we have Tara Hirschberger as a school board representative and Bob Leary as our Board of Selectmen representative. Yes, I can. Is that better? All right. Chair Sun and Scott Taylor and Brian Bork are not able to join us this evening. Just to go over a little bit about the budget process, the membership of the committee is comprised of members and other representation as determined by town meeting adoption at RSA 32. The town of Litchfield adopted the provisions of the municipal budget law by petition at the 1969 annual town meeting, and at the same meeting, the town voted to elect 6 budget committee members. In 2013, the town voted to increase the elected membership from 6 to 7 members. The members serve staggered terms of 3 years. So in total, we have a committee of 9 when you include both the town and school representatives. So to start, we're going to go through the town budget. Our review process began on September 29th, October 6th, and October 13th, 2022. The Select Board delivered a budget to the Budget Committee after the Select Board meeting on October 17th, 2022. The Select Board budget totaled $7,965,711, which was an increase of $552,674, or 7.46%, over the fiscal year 2022 approved budget of $4,413,037. This was over the tax cap by $246,281, and the tax cap is an increase of $175,000 over the prior year's taxes raised. So as we've all felt, inflation and other things have driven the town and every other town's budget up this year. So the Select Board delivered a budget that their departments needed. However, the Budget Committee cannot vote to recommend a budget that's more than $175,000 over the prior year's taxes raised. There's a common misconception that the $175,000 cap is over the prior year's approved budget, when in reality, the tax cap calculation is also affected by the town's revenues and other factors. So you can have an increase in the approved budget of more than $175,000 and still be under the tax cap because of the revenues that may come into the town. It's also worth noting that the revenues seen over the past few years are higher than usual. So if you are trying to do the math and marry these up, that's why you can have an increase of, if you tried to add $175,000 to last year's approved budget, that would be an incorrect way of calculating the tax cap. So the Budget Committee reviewed and voted on the Select Board budget on October 20th, 2022. Our actions that we took included cutting funds from the Police Department of $182,891, debt services of $25,000, Fire Department of $18,180, the Highway Department $11,847, the Library of $11,785, and there were additional reductions of $41,093. Total Budget Committee reductions were $290,796. It's important to note that about half of the police department cut is attributed to not funding a position that an officer currently holds but is deployed. There's many cuts like this year that will need to be funded in future years. But unfortunately, the Budget Committee needed to make some drastic cuts in order to make that tax cap. So in summary, the Budget Committee town budget, proposed budget, is $7,673,829, which is an increase of $260,792. Or 3.52% over the fiscal year 2022 approved budget of $7,413,037, and still under the tax cap by $45,601. So that's what I was trying to explain earlier, is that even though the increase over last year's budget is more than $175,000, we're still under the tax cap by $45,000 approximately. So, moving on to town warrant articles. We're going to start with Article 4 because Articles 1, 2, and 3 do not have a tax impact. Article 4 was the operating budget, and this is the Budget Committee's operating budget, not the Board of Selectmen operating budget. It says, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amount set forth in the budget posted with the warrant or as amended by the vote of the first session for the purposes set forth therein, totaling $7,673,829. Should this article be defeated, the default budget shall be $7,716,898, which is the same as last year, with certain adjustments required by previous action of the town of Litchfield or by law. Or the governing body may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 4013, 10, and 16 to take up the issue of a revised operating budget only. The estimated 2023 tax rate impact is 11 cents, and it was recommended by the Board of Selectmen and the Budget Committee unanimously. Oops, that's a double. Next up is Article 5, amending the tax cap. Shall we adopt the provisions of RSA 32.5b and amend the tax cap whereby the Budget Committee shall not submit a recommended budget that increases the amount to be raised by local taxes, based on the prior year's actual amount of local taxes raised by no more than 5%, rather than the existing $175,000. The estimated 2023 tax rate impact is $0. It was recommended by the Board of Selectmen 500 and recommended by the Budget Committee 540. So as I went through earlier, there's a lot that goes into calculating the current year's tax cap, and it's not simply over the previous year's budget. It has become apparent this year that $175,000 may not be enough to continue services, so the Board of Selectmen has proposed changing the cap to a percentage. It's also worth noting that at the time it was adopted, $175,000 was a 5% increase. So if you don't mind waiting, I will have public input and questions after we go through the warrant articles.
Oh, you're not one at a time, you're going to go back
Yep.
afterwards? Okay.
Thank you.
I'm just at the beginning.
Okay. Article 6, Human Services and Health Agencies. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $20,600 to support human services and health agencies providing services to the town of Litchfield? The estimated 2023 tax rate impact is 2 cents. There are a number of organizations that reach out to the town and provide services to those in need, and it is imperative, especially this year, to provide that funding to those services. And that is why it has been recommended by both the Board and Selectmen and the Budget Committee unanimously. Article 7, Fire Engine Purchase. Shall the town vote to approve spending the sum of $656,899 for the purpose of purchasing a fire engine with equipment and attachments for the fire department, and to utilize funds received from the American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA, for this purpose? The estimated 2023 tax rate impact is $0. There's a note that the replacement of this 1995 fire engine is consistent with the capital improvement plan presented in December 2022. This truck is a 2023 truck that will be delivered in March and April of 2023 at 2021 pricing. So we'd like to especially thank the interim Chief Nickel for working a deal with the department's favored engine manufacturer to purchase a display truck at 2021 pricing. It is a brand new truck that's able to be fully paid for with the federal ARPA funds at no cost to the town. There will also be remaining ARPA funds for other necessary purposes in other departments. This is recommended by both the Board of Selectmen 400 and the Budget Committee 900. Article 8 is the Property Revaluation Expendable Trust Fund. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $25,000 to be placed in the Property Revaluation Expendable Trust Fund as previously established? This sum to come from the unassigned fund balance and no amount to be raised from new taxation. The estimated 2023 tax rate impact is $0. This fund allows us to level out the funding for the required town reevaluation. It's required every 4 years. The December balance was $50,030.23, and the goal is to establish $100,000 by 2024 in order to pay for the next revaluation in 2025. This was recommended by the Board of Selectmen 410 and recommended by the Budget Committee 810. Article 9 is the fire weekend coverage. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $24,320 to fund the fire station approximately 32 hours per weekend, effective April 1st, 2023? These hours will be filled with on-call firefighters, and therefore there would be no associated benefits or other related costs. The estimated 2023 tax rate impact is 2 cents. So the fire department brought this article forward as they're seeing a decline in volunteer firefighters, especially on their busiest call days, which are the weekends. The Budget Committee made additional cuts to the operating budget so that the committee could recommend this article, which the Board of Selectmen recommends 500 and the Budget Committee recommends 900. No. I'm missing a page of my notes. Oh, that's okay. All right. Article 10, the General Assistance Expendable Trust Fund. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $10,000 to be placed in the General Assistance Expendable Trust Fund as previously established? This sum come from the unassigned fund balance and no amount to be raised of new taxation. The estimated 2023 tax rate impact is $0, and the December balance is $10,022.26. This was another instance where both the Board of Selectmen and the Budget Committee understands that extra funding may be needed for financial aid for some of our residents. And because this funding can come out of the general fund, the Board of Selectmen and the Budget Committee both voted to support this article unanimously. Article 11 is the Fire Vehicle and Equipment Repair Expendable Trust Fund. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $40,000 to be placed in the Fire Vehicle and Equipment Repair Expendable Trust Fund as previously established? This sum to come from the unassigned fund balance and no amount to be raised from new taxation. The estimated 2023 tax impact is $0. The December balance was $32,797.31, and the goal is to establish a $75,000 balance. The Board of Selectmen did approve to use some of these funds to repair one of our fire engines this year, so the goal is to reestablish that fund. Article 12 is the Public Works Expendable Trust Fund. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $60,000 for deposit into the Public Works Expendable Trust Fund as previously established? This fund to come from unassigned fund balance and no amount to be raised from new taxation. The estimated 2023 tax rate impact is $0. The December balance was $40,903, and the goal is to establish a $100,000 balance. Similar to the previous article, the Board of Selectmen approved the use of this fund this year, and they are looking to replenish it. Article 13 is the additional assistant librarian hours. Shall the town vote to increase the weekly hours of the assistant librarian number 2 position from 8 hours per week to 24 hours per week effective April 1st, 2023 for an estimated annual wage, benefit, and other related costs of $13,312, and further vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $9,920 for wage, benefit, and other related costs for the period of April 1st, 2023 to December 31st, 2023. The estimated 2023 tax rate impact is 1 cent. This was an article that the Budget Committee would not have been able to support due to it being over the tax cap. It was not recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 230, and not recommended by the Budget Committee, 360. Article 15 is the Veterans Tax Credit. The optional Veterans Tax Credit. Shall the town vote to adopt the provisions of RSA 7228 Optional Veterans Tax Credit? If adopted, the credit will apply to every resident of this state who is any person who is a veteran as defined in RSA 2150 and served not less than 90 days on active service in the armed forces of the United States in any qualifying war or armed conflict listed in this section and continues to serve or was honorably discharged, or an officer who continues to serve or was honorably separated from service, or the spouse or surviving spouse of such resident, provided the training for active duty by a member of the National Guard or Reserve, shall be included as service under this subparagraph. B, every resident of the state who was terminated from the armed forces because of the service-connected disability, or the surviving spouse of such resident. And C, the surviving spouse of any resident who suffered a service-connected death. If adopted, the credit granted will be $750, which is the amount adopted by the town in 2022. This article is required because the legislature expanded the eligibility criteria for this credit to include individuals who have not been discharged from service in the armed forces. and this article continues, shall the town vote to adopt the provisions of RSA 7228B, all veterans tax credit if adopted, the credit will be available to any resident who is a veteran as defined in RSA 2150 and served not less than 90 days on active service in the armed forces of the United States and continues to serve or was honorably discharged, or an officer who continues to serve or was honorably separated from service, or the spouse or surviving spouse of such resident, provided that training for active duty or state active duty by a member of the National Guard or Reserve shall be included as service under this paragraph. Provided, however, that the person is not eligible for and not receiving a credit under RSA 7228 or RSA 7235. If adopted, the credit granted will be $750, the same amount as the optional veterans tax credit voted by the town under RSA 7228. There's a note, this article is required because the legislature expanded the eligibility criteria for this credit to include individuals who have not yet been discharged from service in the armed forces. So all of that is a long way to say that there was a change in legislation that requires the town to readopt the veterans tax credit so that it can also include active duty personnel to receive that tax credit. So now at this time, I'd like to open it up for public input and any questions.
Hi, Tim Kearns, 1 Brickyard Drive. My question is on a lot of the warrants, and I've been looking some stuff up, and I want to reference 2012, article number 16. This is where we adopted the ability to put on the estimated tax impact. And what I'm calling is a point of order is that I believe that all of those warrants that have no tax impact listed are actually against and in violation of RSA 32.5 VB. In state that if the article has a tax impact, you can put the impact on it. But these articles do not have a tax impact, and therefore no notation of a tax impact is allowed under this. How do you answer that? And the other part is the question number 16. I mean, does that not have a tax impact? Looks like there's a lot of money in 16, but if it has an impact, it has to be listed. That one doesn't show anything. I don't understand this.
Yes, sure.
I'm sorry, your name?
Tim Kearns, 1 Brickyard Drive.
Mr. Kearns.
Can I ask who you are?
I am Andrew Cutter, former chair of the Budget Committee for many years.
Okay, so you're speaking as a citizen?
I'm speaking as a citizen.
Thank you.
Yep.
What is your address, sir?
My address is 6 Moose Hollow Road.
Thank you.
You're welcome. This is the budget hearing. The tax impact is actually on the warrant articles as presented to the voters in March when you vote and will be represented on the articles at deliberative.
I understand that, but any article that has no tax impact can't say that it doesn't. You can say that it has an impact, according to the RSA, but nowhere does it allow you to make a notation that there is no impact. It actually says if there is no impact, you can't make a notation.
Well, I'm sure town legal can review that and give you guys the opinion for deliberative.
And that's why I'm trying to address it now, so when we get to deliberative, we can clean it up and do it right, because otherwise I think that someone might be making a valid point that misrepresenting zero tax impact, and it kind of comes to $1,000 of the town's money, is an impact on your bill.
Mr. Kearns, is this what you had emailed the board earlier?
Yeah, what I emailed the board was the paper backup.
Great, thank you. I was just hoping that we had the
I will point out that there's a problem with the 2012 report. The one that's online is different than the paper version. So the paper version has what I'm talking about on page 123. The electronic version has 6 extra pages in it, and you'll find the same thing on 129. It was very hard to find.
Thank you.
Carrie Douglas, 9 Pheasant Street, speaking as a citizen. It is my understanding that when it says no tax impact, it's reflected on the impact resulting in this year's budget. Since we're spending money that's coming out of a fund that's set aside for another purpose, while I appreciate the point of view that yes, it could be used to offset future taxes, so ensure there could be somehow, but we're not raising additional taxes, and that is why I believe that the legislature or the RSAs would dictate that it's no tax impact, because technically, we're not raising additional taxes. That's what it's saying. So we can absolutely ask legal, but I'm pretty sure we've had this conversation before, so I'm sure they're ready for it.
Thank you, Mrs. Douglas. Any other public input about town warrant articles? Okay, hearing none, we will move on to the school. Okay. For the school budget, the Budget Committee joined the school board budget review sessions on November 1st and 3rd, 2022. The school board delivered a budget to the Budget Committee on November 4th, and that budget totaled $24,396,484, which was an increase of $1,036,868, or 4.44% over fiscal year 2022-2023 approved operating budget of $23,359,616. So after those joint review sessions, the Budget Committee reviewed the school budget details on November 10th and 17th, 2022. Voting on the school board budget occurred on December 1st and 8th, 2022, and those actions included reducing the Campbell High School budget by $12,150, the Griffin Memorial School, the elementary school budget by $33,300, the facilities budget by $16,368, school board and admin by $82,526, special education by $51,800, and the elected benefits by $50,000, coming to a total net reduction of $216,156. I say net reduction there because we did add in the missing funds, which I believe equated to about $30,000 for, was missing funding for a current position in the school board's budget. So after those reductions, the Budget Committee school operating budget came to $24,180,328, which is an increase of $820,712, or 3.51% over fiscal year 2022-2023, approved operating budget of $23,359,616. And I just want to note, it's fiscal year 2022-2023 because the school district's fiscal year runs from July to June rather than January to December. So that was the Budget Committee's operating budget, and the food services budget, which is self-funded, is $694,450. The special revenue or Title I budget is $575,000, which is essentially self-funded, if you can call it that. It's federally funded. And capital projects for $470,505, which brings the total school proposed appropriations to $25,920,283. So with that, the school warrant articles are Article 1, shall the school district vote to raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amount set forth on the budget posted with the warrant or as amended by the vote at the first session of the annual school district meeting for the purposes set forth herein totaling $25,920,283. Should this article be defeated, the default budget shall be $25,127,836, which is the same as last year, with certain adjustments required by previous action of the Litchfield School District or by law, or the school board may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 4013-10 and 16 to take up the issue of a revised operating budget only. The operating budget estimated tax impact was $1.22. The default budget estimated tax impact is 56 cents. This article, because some adjustments have been made to the final numbers after our most recent budget and school board meetings, both the school board and the budget committee have not had a chance. Oh, actually, no. I learned there was a school board meeting about 10 minutes ago. So that was recommended by the school board 410, but the budget committee has not had a chance to vote on this article. Article 2, shall the Litchfield School District raise and appropriate the sum of $497,000 for the purchase of approximately 35 acres of land with no buildings or improvements thereon, shown as tax map 15, lot number 8 on Litchfield tax maps. The parcel is also known as BL 114 Albuquerque Ave, Litchfield, New Hampshire, and further approve the seller's condition of the sale, which is that the district will name the school to be constructed thereon the Robin Riley Elementary School. This warrant article will be a special non-lapsing appropriation per RSA 32.7(6) and will not lapse until the closing on the property takes place once the construction of a new school is funded and approved by voters or by June 30th, 2029, whichever is sooner. The estimated tax impact is 41 cents. So the school board is looking to purchase land for a new elementary school. And should this pass, the taxes raised will be kept in a fund that can only be spent to purchase this land if a building bond passes. If the building bond doesn't pass, funds will not be spent, and the funds will not be spent. The school board has a 2-year agreement with the seller as of right now, and if it does not pass within 2 years, the seller may not agree to sell or may extend the agreement. The longest it may be extended is until June 30th, 2029, and if it's not passed at that point, then the land is not purchased and the funds are returned to the taxpayers. This was recommended by the school board unanimously and recommended by the budget committee 6-3-0. So as I mentioned before, there was a school board meeting right before this presentation, so my slides are not updated for it, but I do have the votes. Article 3, shall the Litchfield School District vote to raise and appropriate 50% of the fund balance up to a sum of $125,000 to be added to the Building Maintenance Capital Reserve Fund established in 2005 for the purpose of funding school capital improvements, building maintenance and repairs in the Litchfield School District. This sum to come from the June 30th unassigned fund balance available for transfer on July 1st of this year, with no amount to be raised from taxation. The estimated tax impact is $0. Note the November balance is $105,000, $109.10. This was recommended by the school board 5-0-0 and not recommended by the budget committee 4-5-0. This is another established fund that the school district can pull from for emergency repairs. And because the school district does not have a general fund that they can save money in year to year, this is only funded by any leftover funds from the operating budget from the previous year. So it would be 50% of leftover funds, or up to 50% of the leftover funds, up to a sum of $125,000 would go into this fund if there are leftover funds at the end of the school year. Article 4, shall the Litchfield School District vote to raise and appropriate 40% of the fund balance, up to a sum of $125,000, to be added to the Capital Improvements Expendable Trust Fund, established in 2020, for the purpose of funding the study, planning, and cost of new construction or renovation of existing facilities in the Litchfield School District. This sum to come from the June 30th unassigned fund balance, available for transfer on July 1st of this year, with no amount to be raised from taxation. This amount is consistent with the capital plan adopted by the town of Litchfield in September 2020. The estimated tax impact is $0. This was recommended by the school board 5-0-0 and recommended by the budget committee 6-3-0. The November balance was $125,000 and $125,001.98. This is similar to the previous article, where it's a portion of the leftover funds from the operating budget would be moved into this fund. Article 5, shall the Litchfield School District establish a capital reserve fund under the provisions of RSA 35-1C called the Employee Benefits Capital Reserve Fund for the purpose of funding the payment of negotiated employee benefits, including but not limited to health insurance reimbursements, changes in coverage or policies chosen by employees, severance benefits, and such other benefits as are from time to time negotiated and become contractual obligations of the district, and further to raise and appropriate 10% of the fund balance up to $100,000 to be placed in this fund, with said funds to come from the June 30th fund balance available for transfer on July 1st, and further to name the school board as agents to expend this fund. The estimated tax impact is $0. This is a new fund in an attempt to level out some of the funding that the way it's currently funded is each year in the operating budget, a large amount is set aside for changes in employee benefits and things of that nature. And so this would create a fund to pull from so that that large amount of taxes would not be needed to be raised every year in the operating budget. Instead, if there were an unexpected change in someone's benefits, it could be pulled from this fund. This was recommended by the school board 5-0-0 and recommended by the budget committee 9-0-0. With that, I would like to open it up for a second public input and any questions on the school board's warrant articles. Okay, seeing none, I just want to give a couple reminders. January 17th at 7 o'clock in Town Hall are the public hearings for the zoning articles 2 and 3. February 4th, 10 a.m. at Campbell High School is the town deliberative session. February 11th at 10 a.m. at Campbell High School is the school deliberative session. And March 14th from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. also at Campbell High School is the annual meeting and election day. And we hope to see you there. With that, we will close this meeting, and thank you for coming to the 2023 budget hearing.